Hi, this is Greg Akin, EdTech Coach, and these are 5 strategies for effective student engagement in the online classroom. Whether you're an in-person teacher or you teach primarily online, student engagement is a necessity. It's something that we have to constantly think about, strategize about, and plan for. And so these 5 strategies can help in the in-person classroom, but are specifically geared toward the online setting. First off, engaging classroom discussions. This is important for all levels, whether you're working with primary students, middle school students, or high school students. Having engaging classroom discussions means that students want to participate in the discussion. And there's a few tips that can help them want to do that. First of all, students should be given a safe space to be able to share. They need to know that they're not going to be ridiculed or put down because of their thoughts. Another thing that gets students sharing is interesting topics, whether it's something that's slightly controversial or something that is just more complex and they have something that they can add to the conversation. You'll also want to be aware of students that are hesitant to share. This can be especially difficult in the online setting because it's a lot easier for students to simply mute their microphone, turn off their camera, and sit back. But one of the things that is positive is that we can give students alternative means of engagement, different ways of sharing, such as recording the audio in advance, or even sharing their thoughts by text in order to participate in the conversation. So the online setting does give us a number of ways for students to participate in that. If you're using a resource such as Zoom or Google Meet, students can share with one another. They can just turn on their microphone and share their thinking. You also have the chat going on, which is another way for students to jump in on that conversation. And then a third option is breakout rooms, where students can have a smaller group discussion and then come back and share whole group. So all of those are good ways to engage students in classroom discussions. A second strategy is math language routines. In my in-person classroom, I love to use math language routines such as Notice and Wonder, where students are given a math problem or even just a set of data, and they have to look at it and just see what they notice and questions that come to mind. Some of the benefits of this is it gets students to have deeper connection to the material, and they're really engaging in deeper thinking. And they also get a chance to hear one another's thinking and kind of build upon that. Another example of a math language routine would be a number talk, where students are attacking a problem and they're going to share their strategies and their way of looking and approaching that problem. And again, this may spark another student to say, oh, I hadn't seen it that way, and give them a new tool in their math toolbox. This is great in the in-person setting, but it can also be facilitated in the online setting. And this can happen using Nearpod. In Nearpod, there's a really good tool called the Collaborate board, where students can share their thinking either through typing, they can record audio, they can record a video, or they can put an image in there. And so this can be done synchronously, and students will see each other's thoughts pop up and they can comment on one another's posts. And as the teacher, you can moderate all this to make sure it is appropriate and on topic. But it also works in the asynchronous setting. So students can go there and then they can check back in at a later time later in the day and see what students have said. They can reply to those comments. And so it works really great in the asynchronous setting as well. And this is really appropriate for all levels. You could do it with primary students. I've seen it done with my grade levels, 4th grade, middle school students, and high school students as well. The third strategy is project-based learning. It's widely documented the benefits of project-based learning, where students are attacking a real-world problem, doing their own research, brainstorming ideas, collaborating with peers. It's really a lot of 21st century skills that students are engaging in. Because of the more independent nature of this, especially in the online setting, I would recommend this more for 4th through 8th and high school level. because it really takes a lot of initiative on the student's part. But if it's really well facilitated and the teacher is very explicit and guides students through it, you could even try it at the younger grades as well. Some benefits of project-based learning online is that it provides students a real-world context for that collaboration with one another. And so it gives them an excuse to interact socially with their peers, and it keeps them from feeling isolation. It also is a great way to employ multiple modalities, get them reading text, get them watching videos, and also get them producing a presentation or a video. They are really engaging in lots of levels of thinking when they're engaged with project-based learning. Some of the cons are that it's kind of complicated. It's difficult, even in the in-person setting, to do project-based learning. You really have to be explicit with instructions. You really have to monitor what students are doing. And obviously, monitoring students gets a lot more difficult when it's in the online setting. And so you really want to have experience with your LMS, whether it's Google Classroom or another LMS that you're using to facilitate this project-based learning. As far as a resource goes for that, again, you can use a breakout room, and then students can be collaborating live in software such as Google Docs or Slides. It makes a great way for them to write back and forth, especially if used in conjunction with Google Meet, so that they can hear each other while they're working on a document together. Or it could be a tool like Padlet, which again, I would suggest having them be on Meet while they're working on that synchronously. If they want to do it asynchronously, that is an option as well. A fourth strategy is for students to do content creation, right? Students can be doing kind of hands-on projects. They can make presentations and then film themselves presenting the material, demonstrating an experiment, showing off a project that they have created. This goes along with project-based learning, but it could be used with content areas as well, where students are focusing on a specific assignment, explaining their thinking. So creating videos can be done in Google Classroom. One of the plugins there for Google Classroom, they have different education partners that they work with now. And one of those education partners is Screencastify. And so Screencastify is a video recording and editing software. And so students could record themselves in Screencastify and then immediately upload that to Google Classroom. The nice thing about that is that students can see one another's videos and they can collaborate in that way, seeing their other students thinking. And this works very well for the asynchronous setting. For older students in high school, you could employ a little bit of social media with that. So you could have YouTube videos that they upload to Google Classroom. They could even have a place where they upload Instagram posts or short videos that they've recorded on their phone into the Google Classroom so that they can share those with each other. And also the teacher can use that as a way to assess them, to assess their thinking, if it's a demonstration, they can see their skills. And so this makes a really good form of assessment. Finally, gamified learning is a great strategy for engaging students in online courses. There are a lot of really good tools for gamification. Kahoot is one of the oldest. It's been around a long time. There's also Wayground, which was formerly called Quizzes. Wayground is one that I prefer because it has a lot of tools not only to find quizzes that are already created, but also to quickly create quizzes or interactive gamified elements, including lessons, using AI tools that are now built into Wayground. And so you can upload an article and use that article with the students just like they would see on a state test. They can have the article on one side and then questions about it on the other side. There's also AI tools to help automatically generate those questions that you can then go in and edit or tweak And so it makes content creation a lot quicker on the teacher end. It also gives you really robust data. So as students go through those gamified sessions, they're thinking of it as a competition or as a game, but you're getting really good data on what they know. And so it's a win-win. And again, this works at all levels. Of course, you would use it slightly differently in a primary classroom versus in a high school classroom. But the end result is the same, that the students will engage with it because it's fun, because they're competing with their peers. They might even be trying to get the high score. There's a leaderboard. So there's lots of gamified elements that have been shown through research to increase student engagement. And at the same time, you as the teacher get to see what they know and get that data that you can use to adjust your instruction. So I hope those 5 strategies are useful for you. Again, pretty much all of these strategies work in both the synchronous and the asynchronous settings. The discussions and the language routines are a little trickier in the asynchronous setting, but through Nearpod and the Collaborate board, you can do that as well. You could even do it through a Padlet or through a Google Slide. I've seen it done before where different student groups will each have their own slide in a Google Slide presentation. And so they're in charge of forming that Google Slide with their own thoughts. And then they can go and comment or view other groups' thoughts as well. And so that's another way to do that in the asynchronous setting. So I hope that these have been useful for you and that you'll employ them to get more student engagement in your classroom. Thanks for joining us.